Yo, this is Deontay the Bronx Bummer Wild, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. And I'd like to give a big shout out to CJ Goodfella of Sports TV. Bomb Squad, baby.
All right, man, we back. It's Goodfella Sports TV. Errol Spence feels disrespected by quote-unquote experts, giving Danny Garcia more of a chance to win. And also, he talks about some of his shortcomings and downfalls about not going back to the gym after fights. Let's talk about it. Hit that subscribe button, bell icon button. We'll be going live later today on some boxing. I might go live earlier before like 8 Eastern Standard Time. I'm thinking like 6 or 5. Then I'll just take the dogs for a walk after that or before it. But let's get into it, man. He basically saying, we doubting him. And, at the end of the day, nigga, you flew through a roof. You know what I'm saying? And to our knowledge, you ain't started sparring yet. To your word, you told Custer you had to have a third post put in your mouth, and then September. I still have my, thoughts if this fight gonna start on time. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if he 100% healthy, he should be Danny Garcia. He should be Danny Garcia. Same thing as fighting Mikey Garcia. Danny will take more chances, but it's just, stick and move. You ain't got to go out there and try to stop Danny Garcia and prove shit. Obviously you want to one up Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? You want to do that, but then again, I have no issue with him playing it safe, touching, sticking, touching, just moving and sticking and touching. That's it. Easy game plan for him. He has a speed advantage. You know what I'm saying? He has an arm length advantage. You know what I'm saying? Only thing that makes this fight dangerous is that, he got injured. This fight was January 25th. I think consensus, he'll probably be a huge favorite to win the fight. So many people want to say, oh, you hating or this, that, and the third. I don't listen to people who say that. Because the same people, if he go in there and get knocked out and he wasn't ready, the same people going to make all the excuses and say everything we've been saying, oh, he ain't ready. He coming back too soon. He came back too soon. So what you got to understand is, in boxing, it's hard to get your reputation back in this era. This is why he should have played it safe. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, I'm not going to say no names, people at Premier Boxing Champions tried to get him to take a tune-up. They thought that he can take an easier fight. But you know what? Financially, who want to take that dip? Nobody. Who want to lose their status? Nobody. So, what he was telling those people and telling people, he felt Danny Garcia was a tune-up. And what's so interesting about this fight is Danny Garcia be the biggest puncher he ever faced. Like it or not, so he couldn't hurt Red Cash. He couldn't drop Red Cash. Well, what you got to understand with Danny Garcia is he fight up and down and anywhere in between with his competition. Danny Garcia been training like a madman for this fight. You know what I'm saying? He been training since March. He been sparring big, strong southpaws for this fight. So, they locked in. They know what they got to do. Will they face the best version of Errol Spence? He'll be off over a year. It'll be a year almost to the, date almost or close to it, to his car accident. But at the end of the day, what's so funny is the sensitivity of fighters, man. I didn't talk to people, and this is one of the reasons why I don't even do the interviews no more. You got to watch what you say. If you pick, you be like mayonnaise versus mustard, and you say, well, I like mustard better. These fighters, I'm using this fighter A, fighter B. Then mayonnaise gonna get mad and lose my number, don't talk to me again. So these fighters expect you to pledge allegiance. These fighters expect you to pledge allegiance to them. You know what I'm saying? You can't say nothing negative. You can't say no constructive criticism. And then even with the fighter and then with their fanboys, you a hater. That's why I don't get into doing the interviews. That's why I don't get it. I give my opinion. If you don't like it, eat a dick. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you got a lot of people that got that platforms, and you got writers and YouTubers that got platforms. They can't speak how they want to speak. You know what I'm saying? They now ain't no interviews. Nigga, ain't no one-on-one interviews. They got the virtual interviews, after the fight they did with Angelo Leo. But how many people gonna get to have that personally? Everybody gonna have that interview footage. So ain't no more one-on-ones for quite some time. And if you want to continue to get those one-on-ones, you can't say nothing bad about them. You can't say nothing bad about the company. You can't say nothing bad about their performance, or they won't grant you the access. I never wanted it. I never wanted the access. And that's just my opinion on it. Everybody don't have to think like me. Some people are going to get in the game and do interviews and ask these fighters this, that, and the third. If I do, it's just want to talk to the coaches and the OGs. But he got to understand, he got to understand this. You know what I'm saying? Earl got to understand you got in a car accident. So then again, it evens up the playing field. All right, you ain't fought in a year. Danny fought this year. He the biggest puncher you'll fight. You know what I'm saying? And Danny ain't really never got blown out of a fight. Some people could say the Herrera fight was a blowout. Lamont was a blowout. But really, Danny has always been there, been right there. You know what I'm saying? Sean was pretty close. Keith, some people think, was pretty close. So Danny Garcia has really never been blown out before. And people just saying you a healthy Errol Spence, not knock out Mikey Garcia. A healthy Errol Spence. Some people think Sean beat him. It was a split decision. His fans, it wasn't close. Yes, it was. That was a close fight. But, hey, at the end of the day, what's done in the dark was not what you don't believe. It's going to come to light. So if you just, struggle with Sean and then knock out Mikey, Danny got one of the best chins in the game. And he got, he could punch with both hands. And there are some deficiencies there with Errol Spence. He does square up. There are some openings. You know what I'm saying? So, when you talk about this fight, there are some intriguing things. We learn about Errol Spence chin. We learn if Errol Spence is healthy. You know what I'm saying? We learn how Errol Spence do with a real counterpuncher. This is a step up in opposition in some ways for Errol Spence. Danny Garcia, we know what he is. We know more about Danny Garcia. Danny is a more proven commodity than Errol. We know Danny could take it on the chops. We know he could deal with the fast fighters. We know he could deal with the power punchers. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't that people doubting Errol Spence in the fight. It's they down his health. And he got to get over that. I don't watch the videos or I don't read the press clippings. And yes, they do. And I wouldn't even feel no type of way. Like, shit, I did just fly through a roof. Well, let me work hard, see where I'm at, and prove these dudes wrong. But, and it ain't just him. A lot of these dudes just sensitive. Boxers are the most sensitive dudes. And imagine if they had the full spotlight on them. Just imagine. If they had the full spotlight on boxers, like the NBA players and the NFL players and the tennis players, you know what I'm saying? If they had the full spotlight, they would really be in their feelings. But I look forward to the fight. Should it be closer than what the public think? Yeah, people think Errol Spence going to walk in the ring and be himself. And even if that's the case, he going to be off a year. And he's had layoffs, from the Kell Brook to the Lamont fight. He has layoff from Ocampo to Mikey Garcia. So the layoffs really shouldn't be nothing for him. The knock off the rush really shouldn't be nothing for him. But really, you want to see physically how he is. Sometimes you get whiplash, and sometimes you get that post-traumatic, stress syndrome, whatever they call it. We're not gonna know until he starts sparring. You know what I'm saying? And if he spar good, then that's good. But then again, it's a whole different aspect of it. Are the sparring partners going hard in the paint? He getting punched with bigger gloves and headgear on. So when we get to the situation, we get in the ring with Danny and they throw the 8-ounce gloves on. You know what I'm saying? And they get to exchanging the leather. We'll see. But, he goes on to also talk about some of the shortcomings that he had and some of the bad habits that he developed. And basically that he locked in right now. And that's the way it's supposed to be, At least, he could hold himself accountable and be like, you know what, man, I used to go to the gym, after the fight. And then, now, I missed one day and I'm not going back for 2 or 3 weeks. That shows growth. So he can sit back and look and he learned something from this accident, and he can get back to being more diligent and more on point, with his training. Then, it could help. But one thing it is, when you develop bad habits, it's easy during a time of this nature where it's the pandemic, and I'm pretty sure Al and everybody at PBC telling the fighters to kind of form your own bubble, wear your mask so you don't fuck up the money with the coronavirus. So with them telling him that, he don't have no other choice but to go to the gym and do everything. The true test is when the world open back up. What he gonna do? Is he gonna revert back to being a fighter that go to the club? And remember, after the accident, he was back going to the club, dancing and drinking and getting the fights and shit. He's back and doing the same thing. All of a sudden, the pandemic was the best thing that happened to Errol Spence for health, for wealth, for healing time. You know what I'm saying? And, basically to get in shape. So, personally, you hope to see him come back healthy. You hope to see him get the best performance versus Danny Garcia. And if he don't, it's gonna be a lot of excuses for him. Personally, you want to see a good fight, but I'm not paying no $80 for that fight. Hell no, it ain't worth it. Danny Garcia, to put it in perspective, what has he done at welterweight? He struggled with Guerrero, struggled with Paulie a little bit before stopping Paulie. Didn't even drop Paulie, but once again, with Danny Garcia, he'll show up. He show up at the most times where you think he won't show up, and he can punch. You know what I'm saying? Danny can punch. So we'll see. He can punch with two hands. He's a good counter puncher. Basically it's gonna be Errol Spence just got to stick and move. If he sit there with Danny Garcia, if he stand in front of Danny Garcia, then he gonna have a problem. You know what I'm saying? If he don't bring his hands back home, he gonna give a problem. The smallest opening Danny can open up. But the great thing about Errol Spence here, he real selective with his punches, and he punched and land. And you know what? He don't really give you an opportunity to really get counters like that. Sometimes he square up when he gets you on the ropes, or small things, but he don't throw a lot of punches where you can catch him slipping like that. And that's the beauty of it. That's gonna be the beauty of it. Can Danny Garcia put out enough volume? I think Earl just need to touch him, and just move, stick and move, and make Danny Garcia cut the ring off, and we'll see what happens. But if I'm Danny Garcia, I'm hitting on the hip. I'm just keeping it real. I'm hitting him wherever I can hit him at, shoulder. And I think Danny got to pick up his volume early on. He got to cut the ring off on Earl, or he got to drag Earl into a war. If he can get Earl to open up, you know what I'm saying? I think he can stop Earl. If he can get him to open up due to some of the health issues that Earl went through a car accident. But if Earl just keep it simple and pop, stick, move, it should be an easy fight for Earl if he can maintain that. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out if you got business, question, inquiry, response, video requests. Keep sharing the videos. Appreciate the love, support. Want to make a donation? Cash App, PayPal, subscription. Let me know what you think in the comment section. We gone.